Now, before the election of President Trump, there was a plan. The plan was to clean up the corruption, drain the swamp, get rid of the central bank. And since Trump was elected in 2016, Trump, the Patriots, have been moving in this direction. But they couldn't move too fast because there was a dark cloud over Trump. It was the deep state. It was the central banks. They needed to take control. They needed to remove blockades. They needed to get rid of Mueller. Now, Mueller is gone. The idea that Trump colluded with Russia or there was obstruction or anything like that is completely gone. The dark clouds that were overhead all this time, they have been removed. Now, think about this for a second. Do you think other nations wanted to work with Trump if he was going to be brought up on charges? Do you think Trump and the Patriots were able to do everything they wanted to do? No. Now, they can take this plan and they can accelerate it to the nth degree because those obstacles are gone. Nations now can deal with Trump. Trump can now deal with nations. I do believe this is why Trump has been waiting to actually make deals with China, with North Korea, and many other nations. Because now it's that much easier. He has leverage, much more than he did before. And we can see by Q's post pointing out that the people of the UK, they want what they voted for. They want a Brexit. Now, of course, the EU, central bank, those in the UK government, they don't want to give it. And they've been trying everything they possibly can to stop it. They haven't been working for the people. They've been working against the people. Yes, there are certain individuals that have been trying very, very hard to get this Brexit. And there are others that have been trying equally hard to stop it. And we know the central bank, they want their deal. And we can see the deal that May has been pushing, the EU deal, well, the people don't want this. This is not a deal that's going to be beneficial to the people of the UK. And what we're seeing right now is they're heading towards this no-deal Brexit. Remember when that was completely off the table? And I do believe they should just separate themselves from the EU. I think every country should separate themselves from the EU. The EU is non-elected leaders. The ECB, which creates the currency for all these nations, these are non-elected leaders. And they don't have the best interest of each and every one of these countries. All of this was being created for a one-world central bank currency system, where the central bank had full control. Now, nations, the people, are starting to realize, yeah, it's time. It's time for us to move away from that system. And you can see right now that the UK, the people, they're screaming right now. They want a Brexit. And the EU, they believe a no-deal Brexit is increasingly likely. Now, of course, they're using fear-mongering. They're saying if you go down this path, things are not going to work out for the UK. It's going to be very difficult. Trump's waiting on the wings to make bilateral trade agreements with the UK. He can't wait. And I'm sure there's going to be many other bilateral trade agreements that Trump's going to make with many other nations around the world. Like we said in the beginning, the dark cloud has been lifted from Trump. Now he can deal with China. And I do believe that Trump, Xi Jinping, they're going to come to an agreement now. And this is just going to be the beginning. Remember, Trump's entire mission is to level the playing field. So Trump has been delaying talks, postponing, saying it's not the right time. I don't think it's good that we make the deal right now. He's been doing this with China, with North Korea, and many other countries. I think he's been delaying because he wanted to wait till after the Mueller investigation, until that report was released. And now that that report has been released, and there is no Russian collusion, there is no obstruction, there is absolutely nothing, I believe the plan is going to move in a fast-forward direction. And we're going to see a lot of things happen now, because at this point, Trump will be unstoppable. And the end game here is to take on the Fed. But he needs the people behind him. Think about what is happening right now. The Mueller report came out. People are starting to understand that this was a witch hunt. The people are siding with Trump, not just because of the witch hunt. They're going to be siding with Trump when he goes after the traitors, the treasonous individuals within government. When there's trials, people are going to say, you know something, we trust him a little bit more now, a little bit more, a lot more. And by the time he needs to go after the Fed, and I do believe this is going to be after the 2020 elections, he will have the people completely on his side. Once he has the people, he will be able to do anything. And at that point, he will be able to take on the Fed. Without the support from the people, taking on the Fed would be very, very difficult. Even if the mainstream media at this point is still not with him, still fighting against him, because there are still some of those deep state operatives that we don't know about still out there, if he has the support of the people, that won't matter. And once the people are behind him, he'll be able to face the central bank. And the people will support what he's doing. They will believe what he's saying. And they just don't have to take his word for it. He will show them. And this will be the downfall of the central bank. Everything has just changed. Everything is moving in the direction. This has been the plan all along, to get the people on the side of Trump. Even those people that hated him. Because once you have the support of the people, you can do almost anything. And we're almost at that point. We're getting very, very close. Now, does this mean we're not going to be going through a transition? Does this mean the economy is going to be fine? No. We need to transition out of this central bank economy. We need to move away from debt. We need to move away from the debt note. We need to move towards sound money. We need to move towards an area where corrupt individuals cannot use the free money from a central bank to do whatever they want to do. The government should have checks and balances. If there's a certain amount of gold, well, that's all the money they have. That is it. And really think about that. That means the government's going to have to shrink. That means we, the people, will have the voice. It shouldn't be the government. The government is the body that takes the orders from we, the people. The government shouldn't be gigantic where it overshadows the people. Now, when I say gigantic, I'm not talking about the number of people employed by the government, but that should be shrunk also. I mean, that should be brought down a lot in size. It shouldn't employ so many people. The entitlement programs and everything that they've created since the central bank, all of this is going to need to go away. Remember, most of this was created because of the central bank. because of what the central bank system does to the people. It separates the people. There's a 1% class and then the rest of the people. And most of the people in the country, they can't survive on a central bank system. They're either in a lot of debt, they're barely getting by, they can't find jobs, jobs aren't, paying enough. There's a huge amount of inflation, even though they tell us there's no inflation, but you can see it all over the place. This is why they have to raise the minimum wage to keep up with inflation. The only reason we have all these entitlement programs and everything like this is because the central bank system is flawed. And they needed a way to make everyone happy while we were in the central bank system. Oh, we'll just set up welfare. Oh, we'll just set up food stamps. Oh, we'll just set up this and that and the other thing. And it keeps people happy for a little time. And they continue to do this. Oh, you know what? You can get a loan from the government to buy a house. Oh, you can get a loan from the government to go to school. Oh, you can get a loan. If you notice, it's always a loan. And the reason for this is because the central bank system does not work. It breaks down over time. And what they do is they need to create all these programs. And this is how government grows. In a sound money system, well, guess what? The currency retains its value. Go back in time. Before 1913, think about how much a penny purchased. How much is a penny purchased today? Completely different. Under a central bank system, you can't buy anything for a penny. Back in the day, you can go into a store before 1913. You can buy like 2-3 pieces of candy and maybe something else. People used to carry around change. That was the money they used. They didn't have to carry around dollar bills. Change was enough. And this is what we're going to be returning to. Remember, we've been brainwashed into thinking that this is all normal. That you need more and more dollars to buy the same exact item, going back many, many years. Everything is about to change. The dark clouds have been lifted. The shackles are removed. And Trump and the Patriots, they're going to be doing things that are going to shock you, me, and many others. And we're not going to believe how fast this is happening.